3 years, 3 years, 3 years. AJ Terrell has been pretty much on an island where, hey, no one wants to throw to him because you know better than to mess with that guy, right?
Right.
So AJ Terrell has really been one of the bright spots for the Falcons defense from day one. The challenge has been that there's not been a bright spot on the other side. And so offenses have taken advantage of that, maybe Jarvis, maybe up until now, with the acquisition of Jeff Okudah in the offseason and the hiring of assistant head coach defense Jerry Gray, whom we all know is like the DB whisperer. Maybe, just maybe, it'll be finally time for us to talk about a Batman and Robin that we're not talking about for the Hawks, but rather that we're talking about for the Falcons. There was an article that was recently posted as well, recently written as well, about the possibilities of just how special this duo can be. Jeff Okudah's also talked about his excitement about playing with AJ Terrell and getting back to the level of play that you would be accustomed to for a number 3 pick in the draft. That said, how special, if all things being equal, can this duo be?
I think it can be pretty special because like I was just going back and looking at like who was paired with AJ Terrell in the past couple of years, and it's not good. T back in 2021, Fabian Moreau. Does that name ring a bell? that name we would call that guy's name in the press box,
Yes.
quite often.
Yes. And not in a good way.
But not in the good way at all. And then last year, Casey Hayward, they wanted to bring a veteran last year with Casey Hayward. Obviously, he started off pretty solid, but, ended up getting hurt.
Body didn't,
His body couldn't just hold up. And in comes Mr. Cornell Armstrong. And no need to go into how deep that stab was when Casey Hayward. We missed Casey Hayward. Let me just say that. Even though we didn't get to see that much of him, we missed him. So I think that when you have, those type of pairings going on, it's like it's easy for the offense because when you are in a space where like you can easily see it on film going into games and game plan. It was like, oh yeah, we're not even going to throw 2-4's way. He can stay over there. That's cool. And if you're not going to follow our best receiver, oh, that's even better. So we're going to line up our guy on the backside of every play, and we're going to call plays exclusively
especially
to go backside.
Yes.
Right. So those are some of the things that just make it so simple for on Sundays for the opposing offensive coordinator. So now that you got a guy, Jeff Okudah, now like he struggled his rookie year, just like AJ Terrell had his struggles his rookie year, but as he went along, he was actually on the field. Second year dealing with injuries, came back last year and had a solid season. Only allowed a 59% completion rate. Throwing when quarterbacks were throwing the ball this way, that's pretty doggone good. And so we know that if Jeff Okudah is on the field and fully healthy, we know that he can get better. And like you said, the DB whisperer that Jerry Gray is, like he said, those were his words. He said he wants to get his hands on Jeff Okudah because he knows the talent is there. Like, I really feel like this is lining up to be something really special.
Yeah, and Jerry Gray, when asked that question, when I asked him that question, I was just curious to know, like, and you're talking about a couple of things actually that we asked him. You had a question for him that I brought to the table. I had a question for him, and our guy Joe Patrick had a question for him as well. And all of those things kind of go back to that one point of let me at him. He's and so one of the answers that I love that Jerry Gray said to me was, Jeff Okudah's never been coached by me. No offense, Detroit. No offense to anyone on the Lions staff, but he's never been coached by me.
He said something then.
Exactly. And I was like, I dare somebody to come for him with that comment, because when you look down the list, and it's really just too long to even mention all of the DBs that he coached up and got them into Pro Bowl caliber play, Hall of Fame caliber play. I can remember actually a comment that he made after one of the worst games for the secondary for the Green Bay Packers. He said, oh, it won't happen again. It won't happen again. And when you started looking at their numbers, and you just mentioned it just a moment ago, the percentages of being thrown to, one side, it changed exponentially, right? Because, and apologies for forgetting that DB's name, but there's one DB for the Packers that everybody just came in. Oh, we'll just throw it him. We'll just throw it him. And Jerry Gray said, give me one more game. You're never going to see it again. And then you just saw the numbers just be much more even. That's part one. So we know that he's able and capable of seeing what two solid DBs can do, even when he doesn't have that kind of talent. The way he was chomping at the bit, and you could kind of see kind of the wheels turning when I was asking that question. He's like, he really believes he can get Jeff Okudah back, not just to what we saw out of Okudah with the Lions last season, but more importantly, what we saw out of him at Ohio State that made him the number 3 pick in the draft. I think that's critical. The other piece there is this. We can look at the numbers all we want, but there's a piece there that Jerry Gray spoke of as well that go beyond the numbers, and it's about communication, right? And it's about the ability to be able to look at the raw talent, the intangibles, the tangibles, and say, okay, this is what AJ Terrell brings to the table. This is what Okudah brings to the table. How am I going to bring those together, not just to affect the improvement on the outside with the corners, but also to affect the DB room as a whole? Because we've been talking about the fact that at safety, we're hoping that we get to see that Richie Grant again, right? We're hoping that we get to see that Jalen Hawkins again. And of course, I'm talking about the younger core because that's where you hope Jerry Gray has his biggest impact. So I agree with you. I think that there's an opportunity there for them to be a special duo because of the raw talent that they have, but also because of a man who can tap into the raw talent. Now, speaking of a group that's looking to improve, Jake Matthews had some interesting comments after voluntary OTAs wrapped up last week, because of course today the Falcons kick off mandatory mini camp this week. We'll be down at the Benz today. I'll be there today. You'll be out in Flowery tomorrow. So of course we'll talk to you guys more about the reaction from what we've seen in mandatory mini camp this week. But after OTAs last week, Jake Matthews was excited, Jarvis. He was excited about what this team has been doing, what this O-line group has been doing this offseason to get themselves to be better than what they were last year. And this is one word that I really like that he kind of highlighted. He said, we were really good in our run protection and we want to be that, but we saw what we were last year and we believe that we can be stellar to the point where our protection on pass can improve. And really he said it, and I don't want to misquote him, but he essentially said, we have an expectation and we will see wins as the result. So to me, that's the definition of success that they're going by. They're not just saying we want to improve pass protection, but they're talking about wins. I have a theory about what that means to me. What that means to me, Jarvis, is not just getting into the red zone, because the Falcons were fine getting to the red zone.
Right.
It was the productivity in low red zone in terms of touchdowns that we didn't see. What do you expect to see out of this O-line as far as what Jake said, where they were last year and where they are this year?
I expect them to be more balanced, because here's the thing, right? Like the number 3 running team in the NFL, no problem at all. And you're potentially going to have a rookie in there at that left guard spot. That's okay, even if he's not as good as the Falcons think he's going to be, because at the end of the day, it's all about continuity. That's the key. That's the word for the day, continuity, especially when you're talking about the offensive line. As long as those 5 guys are on the same page, the talent level, it matters. But as long as those guys know exactly where each other are going to be, those are some of the things that you can work with and be on a better scale. So, but my expectations for them is be more balanced, because like obviously we know they want to be able to run the football, but the thing that's going to be the game changer for them this year, is how successful they are on play action on third downs and when Arthur Smith dials up those shot plays. If they're able to hit those shot plays to get into the red zone, because we know that more than likely they're going to continue to run the football like they did last year. But I think being able to take those plays and get those extra bodies out of that box and have those teams start to back up a little bit, because we know they're going to be lurking. Those safeties are going to be lurking all the time. 9-man boxes, they're going to get used to that. So it's important for Desmond Ridder to be able to hit those shot plays when Arthur Smith dials them up. And that's my expectation. That's how this offense is going to get to that 25 to 27 points per game that they need to get to in order to get more wins like Jay Matthews talked about.
And my expectation there as well is this. We don't want to see 11 runs in a row. Yes, it's great that you were able to pull that off multiple games last year, right? And it was successful for you. But balance, exactly. But balance really is the name of the game. I would love to see something like, I don't care if you run it 5 times in a row, that's fine. But I really want to see, like you said, the run set up the pass on that 6th play. And I want to see Desmond Ridder, Dave Ragone, and Arthur Smith take advantage of all these pass catchers that they now have on offense. So that's really where I believe you're going to see some red zone effectiveness that you didn't see last year, is if you can really show teams that you can mix it up. It doesn't matter that you have Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson, and you're able to run it 11 times in a row. That's not good football for down the road, because let's be honest. Kansas City had a solid running back. The Eagles had a solid running back. But what set them apart was the fact that, like you said, the play action. What set them apart is that they took advantage of who they had in their passing, not just their passing room, but we'll just say pass catchers overall. So yeah, I love that Jake Matthews had that kind of honesty and had that kind of confidence in what they'll be able to do in an area where we know they've struggled with just pass protection. So, but what do you guys think? What do you everydayers want to see out of the Falcons as they go into this final week of minicamp, mandatory minicamp, and then they get ready to take a quick break before they come back for training camp? Always let us know your thoughts on YouTube. Drop a comment in the comments section. And don't forget, wherever you download your podcast, download ATL Day Ones too.